zelmksi, aggz, aobwz, tgzovebnlm, office, zelmksi, aggz, aobwz, office, tgzovebnlm, office. So what's your impression of this year's chant for the next seasonal?
Well, I feel a renew in strength, strength of will, overcoming.
Well, some of the words that one has in there, the upper left word, zelmksi, is the word for hate, which is the word, I divide the seasons. The cooling quarter is the season of hate and war. The dark quarter is the season of fear. The warming quarter is the season of hope. And the season of love is the brightest quarter of the year. And aggz relates to aggz, the word for sacrifice. And was is, it's backwards, base, retreat, but not retreat in the way of defeat. Aobwz is the word for rain. And the word zyu is devotee, slave, worshiper, kind of the equivalent to, like, for example, the word aobwz in Semitic languages. And tgzovebnlm is, the bottom center word listed there is the word for beast. And so I don't know if I'll switch it at some point, but I've definitely chosen to weave the idea of yoga into the seasonal that's about a week into August. And you see my setup there of last year's. So any ideas about my setup there of last year's?
I like the red. I like the red stones.
Well, as you know, I've developed a sort of color scheme of the seasons. So the for the Northern Hemisphere, the brightest time, the hottest time of the year, is about a week into August, and then the temperature drops. So they used to call it fall. It would be fall eve, and because 5:36 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time of August 8th, that makes the sunset before on the Saturday, the the evening for this.
Okay.
But the following seasons are of course blue, orange, black for the darkest time of year, purple for the coldest time of year. So I'm giving that nowadays sort of the tantra thing. Now yoga and tantra for most people are going to be, they're not going to know the difference, be able to tell the difference. And I did a video making a joke about that, but that's, there is a difference, but it's less of an external difference. And then there's the green, and then there's yellow, and then white for the brightest time of year. And I guess yellow because some areas the grass, the nice green grass, sure it lasts through March, but into May it kind of kind of yellow. So, because there's some nice grassy plains like in the center of the country, if one's been out there. But later on in the, but as April goes on, it just goes away. And of course, relating to the whole Hindu, the practice, 108 is a very important number there. So it's not really showing up on the thing, but you see in the graphic there, my string of beads. So I have them color coded, divided within that, but so if you have any ideas of what's said about that, I have the Solomonic triangle here. So I thought that related more to the other. They say Star of David, but A and O. Remember how I painted that that statue?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I don't know if the bird show. One of the things, like for example, this in the septenary system. So you have 21 paths that are the variety of each one goes to each other. So one, Alastaros is the one that goes to Earth, sort of like Baphomet and stuff. But you'd also have one that goes to the stars. So you can have 23. And so, but in my experience, it's that red symbol right there. I thought it pulled up. Does it show the bird? Oh, it doesn't show the bird.
The statue.
Well, okay, there's that red symbol. It's kind of like an A and an O in Greek. It doesn't have the line, and
Okay.
does that? No, none of my.
Yeah.
I don't know how to stretch and pull the graphic to the point where I see things right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the
anyways, you get the idea.
Yeah.
Because you've seen the video. Okay. No, I don't want to pull any stupid effects with that one. But I guess it'll have to be looked at elsewhere. Because what does it have? It talks about tetragrammaton, but it's in 6 parts. So it's like that sodalite stone that I'm going to show, but it's like a flat version because that's 2 interlacing stars, and you've got the point marked, and AGLA, UR, power, wherever it is so, that sort of stuff. Interesting practice to do is practice changing the color of a mood ring. I mean, sure, I can render it, purple or indigo or whatever, and that's pretty standard, especially this time of year. It's much easier this time of year. And just like gold, I mean, not real gold. I wouldn't display my real gold if I had real gold. But this is real silver. So there, I got my sodalite. It's the whole Merkabah thing, but again, symbols are more universal. You got those 4-pointed, like remember my 4-pointed rocks, like my 4-sided rocks, like this one here. Come on. But you meet in the center. So you meet in the center is sort of the idea going here. But you're not these external little points. You're something beyond that. Like what's one of the questions of the lunar question, as it's called. What is being observed in your selection?
what is being observed in what?
What is being observed in your selection?
In a selection. I'm not sure. I don't
Well,
think I got
the Merkabah basically means like a vehicle. So my idea with that is that, you know, it's that sort of thing. So your choices are gaining, are they have their own perception. And the sun question or the day question is what impulse does the order imply?
I'm not sure. I did have a thought. It's coming to me. Being complete, working on making oneself complete. In a sense, going back to strength of will and not allowing something to overcome, you know, one that kind of sort of like taking control of it.
So one of the things as sort of an interlude that can be thrown in, I'm not sure, is with the beads here, is the you know, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And of course, if the only thing that people can get with that is they're trying to picture some dead guy from 5,000 years ago when he was a teenager running around with his shirt off, or some other dude that maybe lived another 1,000 years before that running around with his shirt off, or some weird hairy blob thing, or, you know, maybe it's best they don't use that chant. But honestly, we should all learn to get past the silly little things associated with things and get to what they really are themselves. You know, because Krishna refers to black, so the dark lord basically, but, you know, the all attractive, the you know, the something that brings the darkening or the brightening, so basically like the god of light. And so Rama, of course, being the second term there, relates sort of like saying god of sound, but you know, it's the pleasing, the lovely, but it's also dark and black. So again, it's another way of saying dark lord. It's like, oh no, he said the dark lord. Just like Kali is that sort of thing too, but and Hari is the potency. So, you know, all things to oneself, really. So it refers to green and gold, and so yellow, gold, shining, that sort of stuff. So there's, you know, there's various meanings to that. And so you're supposed to realize the ever-present, the light and sound and other ways of the potency of divinity, like an ever-present sort of thing. Like one of the things that I've done in recent years, as you see with my head here, I've just about got it perfect. It takes me a couple runs because I don't know, I'm sensitive or something, but the in accord with my yearly sacrifice, I end up cutting my hair. Now, if I don't do it, I'm not going to skip a year cutting my hair, but, you know, and I just, you know, shave the whole thing. Because like the pilgrim, like the video that I released, the pair that I've released the past couple days, during that pilgrimage, people cut or shave their head, cut their hair or shave their heads. So there's practices to do along with the sacrifices that a person does. And so each one of these verses, and feel free at any point to share some of the ideas of this season that you've come across. You said you were reading some book. Another chant that we have here. Yajna sheshta senah santa mujante sarvake ebishai bunjate tetava gampapaye pachante. Atma karanat, and that translates as something like, what is it? Of food taken after the performance of sacrifices, the devotees are eaters, and they enjoy, but grievous and are the but the sinners. So okay, I've misread my writing there. And the sinners who only do it for sense enjoyment. So basically, the Krishnatarian diet is if you are going to, and that's from Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 verse 13. And you were going to say something because.
Oh yes, when I was reading the other night, I had made some notes. Some was about the sodalite stone, or that's what I was holding when I was writing the notes. And I wrote free-flowing, clear thought, going from tragedy to greatness, overcoming accomplishment, rebirth, spiritual regeneration, growing in knowledge. And again, I have a little teeny tiny sodalite stone, but I was holding it when I wrote these things and after doing some reading. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Those are actually some of the things, that I was working on,
And maybe I should so one thing that okay, that wrong thing. So my set of three in my candle holders that have the flowers there, I have beeswax candles, and I say, let us take lesson from the powers of bees and the flowers. And with the mulberry, let us remember that we are to be marked or changed by it and move the outer forms rather than rely on them as the power itself. Because as I said there with the eating of the sacrifices are, it's not that it's wrong for the outer deed, it's just that some people, there's the difference between secular eating and sacred eating. And what are some of the other ones? Okay, so cherry and plum, they're not negative. Plum's like a in between the seasons sort of thing, and cherry, I guess, is kind of too. But they'll be within well, cherry, no, I don't think cherry is as versatile as the plums are. But you know, one's supposed to be inside and outside of certain paradigms. Of course, I'm using my brass candle holder, and the brass is about indifference to what is not best for our strength, passion, and awakening. So I'm using red candles where I have red candles. I got cranberry. You really associate it with like October, don't you? October, November. Isn't that the time where cranberries are ripe? But well, it's towards the end of this season. So to the mundane, the purging will take part of will. The purging we take part of will seem like reckless abandon, but the preventative measures and cleansing is with a deliberateness of memory that has a lasting order, which of course starts with ourselves. You know, because just like the whole thing with the animals, we're not like, you know, it's about our own effort and stuff. It's not that some, oh, we're not worthy ourselves, so we have to kill an animal, and the animal will pay the price. It's like, that's not what it is at all. And none of those quotes that I have listed make that point. Tuscan wine is that candle on top of the candle holder that's like 3 bones, but it's not 3 bones. It's metal. It's metal in the dish. And people act like, oh, no, don't go digging stuff from the graveyard or collecting your relatives' bones, or you know, that's, you just don't have to resort to that stuff to involve yourself in these things. But in ancient Tuscany, a hero might set aside unnecessary style and even the hopes of life to engage his natural wrath towards the sweetness of preserving and establishing the rights. Struggle is often better than comfort because we encounter needs and preferred results that are not safe to fulfill. And I think that's it with what I said about the furniture that I've put in. So one of the things that's stereotypical, I guess, is the Burning Man and all that stuff. And the Native American Sundance and all that stuff. So there's ideas like that going around related to Lughnasadh. But it's a time of the berry harvest. So the berry harvest was a time of abundance. And for some reason, people want to start wars when there's more than enough to go around.
Yeah, well.
And they end up depriving a little bit from everybody because of that. But, you know, somebody's going to get richer. So that's why we do wars in the first place, not because we need to. Almost never is because the people need to defend themselves or something. They stir something up, maybe, because so some people will defend themselves, but so a listing of the other verses, and all these relate to sacrifice. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in the Bible, but I wanted to get a full view. Malachi 1:14, 1 Peter 2:5, Hebrews 5:1, 1 Corinthians 10:18, Acts 7:42, Genesis 46:1, Luke 13:1, Mark 23:33, Jeremiah 6:20, Hosea 4:9, Psalms 106:37, Ezekiel 16 verses 20 to 21 and 39:17 to 21, Deuteronomy 16:4, Romans 12:1, Isaiah 19:21, Proverbs 17:1, Matthew 9:13, Philippians 2:17, Zechariah 14:21, Daniel 8:11. And of course, I didn't want to conflict with the idea and bring in the whole vicarious thing with the Christianity. So I didn't take that side because obviously I want to direct the point. And what am I supposed to do? Just conflict in the middle of the ritual with everything that I bring up with that from the Greek part of the Bible? That it's just not productive. So, I'm not including that. So it's basically stuff that agrees, because most of it does agree. They do want to make you feel like Jesus paid for things and all of that other stuff, and that's not as supported as one thinks if one thinks about it, because there's an 8-fold law of atonement in that system, and in the Bible, Jesus is a condemnation. The idea of Jesus dying for people's sins is a combination of each of it. It's not a lawful animal. It's not slaughtered right. Nobody who says their sins were forgiven paid for him to be killed. Nobody touched the body before the killing. No one was there actually doing the humane slaughter who did the thing. So, what are the other conditions? But the blessings weren't said over it. Oh, there's a couple other conditions, but you know what I mean. There's no reason to think that this fulfills the thing.
Right.
Now, to just like a little clearer perhaps than the other, I think 22:33 there from the Quran tells us it's not about the blood or the flesh. It's about some obedience and stuff. That's the whole thing. It's about obedience. It's about your sacrifices. It's not about some silly thing where God some or whatever you want to call it is some flesh hungry, bloodthirsty thing, and it's going to starve if they don't get 1 million sacrifices this year or whatever the deal is. And by the way, while this is recording, this is the so it's a 4-day stretch. So this year it's a Saturday through sunset on a Tuesday, sunset ending it, of course. So the biggest amount of animal sacrifice and those things, if you've seen it done right according to the rules, the animals just give into the process. You don't see what you usually expect. Like some of the people in my neighborhood talk about back when everybody used to have chickens and stuff and swinging them by the neck and all that stuff. And it's like, no, I'm not talking. I wouldn't take part in any of that if I could help it. Because you invoke over an animal, you hold it just right, and even a big animal is going to fight you less than a little animal when you're trying to swing it around and chop its head off and stuff. It's but Surah 2, 8, 196, 3, 8, 183, 5, 27, 6, 162. I said 22:33, 37, 107, 48, 25, 108, 2. Now, a lot of this stuff enacts earlier myths, but the interesting thing here is that Abraham, in that version of the story, Abraham in the Quran is not given, God doesn't give him a dream. Abraham has a dream that he does something, and he asks his son, and his son said, well, basically you're a prophet, you've had a dream, let's go do, and he goes up there, and God says, hey, sends some being comes and say, hey, don't do this stuff. I'm on the side of the good doers. So obviously it doesn't make sense to go in and say, well, the thing that he's actually worshiping that sent this other thing is the one that told him to do what he didn't want done in the first place, and then criticizing him for wanting to go do it, and then rewarding him when he agrees not to kill his son. Because you were looking at some book the other day. That sometimes they would save executing criminals till this time of year, till the Burning Man festival was about, they'd specifically round up the criminals they were going to execute, or they do whatever, and they'd make a ritual about it, which is fine. If you're going to do something, make a ritual about it. It's not as morbid and barbaric as people think, if you think about it being the
I had been studying some of medieval history and some methods that they used back then. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not signing with this. I'm not siding with strangling and
Right.
and beating to death and all that other
Right.
stuff. Maybe
That is
you know, but like burning people to get tying people up and burning them in a pot in a bonfire. No. Yeah. And I also don't believe one of my issues is there are people who die during the embalming process. They end up being alive, but they actually, it's a lot rarer than it used to be. But yeah, when they go in and suck your fluids out and replace other things that make you nicer looking for the funeral, but then it breaks down your bones, you know, formaldehyde and all that breaks down your bones quicker.
Oh wow, no.
So you powder in the grave, and they have all that stuff to line the coffin. And if you line the coffin, even underground, it rots quicker and even bust open a little bit. So if you don't have one of those metal coffins, it busts. The seal helps it bust further out. So part of the reason of burying them further down is that the gravestone. Well, I mean, this is aside from the point, but my point was there wasn't. And so not getting into any of the things if you have so that was what you're going to say. So I guess this much more than the actual verses that I go over. Feel free at any point. I'm going to go over the poem. You can wait till the end, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to go over the poem that I composed, compiling some of the reading that some of the books involved that I put into this and some of the themes. With the floods, frogs and snakes, awake with the claws and beaks of the turtles to take in the encounters that renew your broken, bruised self. In its wake, we offer the cherry, plum, apple, pear, peach, orange, lemon, grape, and fig as the very form of the ritual shakes, inciting fertility, bliss, preciseness, the waning or waxing brightness, sweetness, melody, knowledge, voluptuousness, and blessings. We make in the maturity to accept all our thoughts, impulses, and emotions, like hate, be it the late afternoon or dawn of the year, the glow that we kindle by contemplation will soon be near. Our fate will reach us by what we're capable of. The world may accuse us, but we enjoy and go through difficulty beyond shame and fear, melding, fading, wandering, brightening, and separating our transient position, and the disturbance becomes clearer. All through the night, the sanity betraying humanity doesn't fill us with its illusion and delusion, but directs us to intensify and draw near. The facets of spiritual warfare are here. The sight is reddened with a door. We've locked you out, but you have broken the door. Anything is possible in this surrender. The material attachment is what we devour. The overshadowing divergency hits us in this hour. Be it for or against you, all gains its spiritual power. The trampling grounds of matter and intellectual will not be neglected. Our places to cower. The mundane may hate the transcendent, the transcendental entertainment, but it finds us dear. We are so sent till it's over. So again, reiterating that thing that I've talked about, and then it's about oneself is the living sacrifice. And it's not about negative or positive or all that other stuff. It's about the consciousness turns towards stuff. It's about preparing for the moment of death, practicing for that, and of course living a full life upon what's available. But, yeah. So your thoughts about this? We have a few minutes here left on the.
Just some things that was coming to mind when you were speaking. Building up like a living stone from the ground up, going through difficulty, character building, you know, and living a full life can be accomplished maybe for some people, or by the strength in which the character is built. Because some things are hard.
Because yeah, it's people think, oh, it's about being blissed out, or it's not about doing your work. You do your work. You just do your work with consciousness. And yeah, life is disturbing, and like I said, with like what I'm like that program that's coming out this Sunday. Oh well, it leaves out some of the disturbing details of the book, but it's like, yeah, there's issues in life, but you don't need to like. It's like Law and Order. It's like you don't watch Law and Order either thinking the ideas of, oh, here's all the ways people can get me. That's not healthy. Or just out there thinking, that it's basically evil for entertainment, and that's not it. It's not about what you do or you don't do. It's about it being a devotional thing, because yoga's connecting. So you have the two hands. Yoga and tantra are like the giving and the receiving hand, connection versus identity, but really you end up doing the same acts. So like the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, which I've heavily researched, I plan to get their little complete audio USB drive. They're releasing 300 hours of audio for the first time that they haven't released, and I'm like, okay, I'll listen through that and make a series of lectures, or well, obviously I can make a lot of lectures for that in theory, but it'll probably take me years because it's not going to be the only project of my studies that I'm going to do, which is perfectly fine. But I have less than a minute. If you have any final thoughts there, but obviously one thing I try to do, maybe not so much when I switch to this one book, but I've been trying to work in animal themes, and I've done enough of that. So I think I've covered at least the one book that's on my shelf. So I'm thinking by my next seasonal, I may not use where the wild buffalo, or I can't forget. I forget the name of the book. I take out the book to reference it for a few days or something every several weeks. I should know the name of the book. But and anyways, yeah, so animals, the stuff going on, like the floods, some of the